Welcome back to another tabletop review. Today we'll look at the Smith & Wesson Model 29 44 Magnum Revolver. The Smith & Wesson 29 is a true classic. I know what you're thinking. Did he fire just 6 shots or only 5? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Yep, it's the Smith & Wesson 29 that was made famous by the fictional character Inspector Harry Callahan, portrayed by Clint Eastwood in the 1971 movie Dirty Harry. Harry's 29 was a polished blue 8 3/8 inch model. At that time, as Dirty Harry states in the film, the Model 29 was the most powerful handgun in the world. And when it came to production handguns, that was indeed true. Of course, it's been overtaken by handguns chambered for even larger .454 and .50 caliber Action Express cartridges, but still, there are a few handguns as famous as the Smith & Wesson Model 29. Let's make sure this one is cleared. If you watched my previous videos, you know that we've looked at a lot of handguns, but only one other revolver, a Smith & Wesson 38 snubnose. You may have gotten the impression that I don't care for wheel guns. Actually, that's not true. I own several. While I may not carry a revolver for defense, I have a great deal of respect and appreciation for revolvers, and I do enjoy shooting them. By the way, this is not even my first .44 Magnum revolver. Back in the late 1970s, I bought a used Ruger BlackHawk 8-inch .44 Magnum at a gun show. I didn't really know what I was buying, but the offer was affordable and the seller gave me a bunch of boxes of reloads to sweeten the deal. It was accurate but harsh to shoot, and the ammo was expensive, so it ended up being stored away for decades until my kids were old enough to shoot it. It remained just a novelty for me, but my son loved it. When my son entered the military years ago, I decided to give it to him. He had a custom Western-style holster made for it and still carries it today when hiking in the mountains. As time passed, I found that I sort of missed having a big .44. So when I saw this used Smith & Wesson Model 29-3 with wood combat grips in a gun shop, I couldn't resist. I would have preferred a Model 29, 29-1, or 29-2, one with blued finish, standard grips, but I didn't see many older Model 29s very often, so I needed to get what I could. That was about 10 years ago now. So how do I feel about my decision? Do I still feel I made the right choice with this gun? Since I bought this one used, I didn't even get a box, let alone a manual. The early 29s came in wooden boxes. By the time this one was made, the boxes were cardboard. Too bad. Founded in 1852 by Horace Smith and Daniel B. Wesson, the U.S. company Smith & Wesson is located in Norwich, Connecticut. Smith & Wesson enjoys a good reputation for producing quality firearms, especially when it comes to revolvers. Smith & Wesson's production of big K-frame 6-shot double-action revolvers and .44 Magnum began back in 1955. In 1957, the Model 29 designation was applied, and various reflecting evolutionary modifications began with the Model 29-1 in 1960 and continued until the late 1990s with the Model 29-7 when Smith & Wesson discontinued production. Additional variations have been produced from time to time, which include the current Model 2910. This nickel-plated 6-inch Model 29-3 was produced in 1984. As I stated earlier, production of the Model 29 began back in 1955, and the Model 29 has been produced in 3-inch, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 8 3/8, and 10 5/8 inch barrels. Typical finish is either polished blue or nickel-plated. The Smith & Wesson Model 629 is an all stainless steel version of the Model 29. Probably the Ruger Super BlackHawk .44 Magnum has been the main competitor to the Smith & Wesson 29. Both are excellent revolvers. Both came out about the same time, but the 29 came out first, and with the fame of the Dirty Harry films, the Smith & Wesson had a strong lead in popularity over the Ruger. Since the Model 29 is chambered for .44 Magnum cartridges, it can also fire the lighter .44 Special cartridges. Speaking of the 44 Magnum cartridge, it was Elmer Keith who delivered the 44 Magnum in 1950 from the 44 Special cartridge. The Magnum load delivered 767 foot-pounds of energy at 1200 feet per second. His intent was to provide maximum power and performance in a new cartridge to be used in the sidearms for hunters of large, dangerous game. It was not initially intended as a self-defense round. With today's specialty rounds, however, there are those that believe that it can be a good defensive round. Specifications on the Smith & Wesson Model 29-3 6-inch barrel revolver includes an overall length of 11 1/4 inches. Height is 6 inches, width is 1.7 inches, unloaded weight is 46.4 ounces. It has adjustable rear sights. Cylinder release is here. Ejector is here. There are plenty of aftermarket grips available for the K-frame revolvers, which is very, very nice. Let's first talk about the cons of the Smith & Wesson Model 29-3. To state the obvious, the 44 Magnum load takes some getting used to. To be honest, it's a round that many feel is somewhat unpleasant to shoot. The recoil can be downright punishing on the hand. As a result, I find I don't shoot many rounds at the range. That's not the fault of the gun, in my opinion. In fact, shooting 44 Special rounds can be a very different experience in the same gun. I'm glad for that. This gun is rather impractical for me, though. If I were hiking on the mountains with my son looking out for bear, I could better justify the owning of this thing. Even for that, there might be some better choices. It's big, it's heavy, and it's a bit awkward. I should mention that the earlier 29 models were pin-barreled. The Model 29-3 is a crush-fit barrel. There are reports of the barrels over-tightening on some of the crush-fit barrel models due to the extreme forces involved with the 44 Magnum loads. A twisted barrel throws off the front sights, giving notice to the shooter that something's wrong. So far, I haven't had any problems with this gun. Typically that shows up with the machined top of the barrel misaligning here with the frame. The only other issue I have with this gun is how dirty it gets. That's a problem of the nickel finish. It would be just as dirty if it were blued, but the mirrored finish just shows dirt and prints so easily. As for pros about this gun, well, it is a Smith & Wesson, and it carries the famous Smith & Wesson lifetime guarantee. If I honestly compare it to my old Ruger BlackHawk 44, this gun is almost elegant. For me, the Smith & Wesson's overall configuration, along with these combat grips, do work well to allow for a better grip and feel. This gun is just more comfortable to me than the Western grips of my Ruger BlackHawk. I also think that the 6-inch barrel has turned out to be a good compromise. The double action trigger is smooth, and in single action mode the trigger is extremely short and light, allowing for excellent accuracy. And this is a very accurate gun. The rear sight is fully adjustable, and I like the white outline against the red front sight. I used to joke with my kids that with the 44 Magnum, you didn't need to hit a perfect bullseye. Just get close enough and the shockwave alone would take care of the rest. However, even as big as this gun is, I can still place all 6 rounds almost on top of each other at 15 yards. As I already said, the gun is chambered in 44 Magnum, but I can also shoot the lighter 44 Special rounds for a more pleasant day at the range. I like that flexibility. And finally, just look at it. This gun is so well crafted, it's beautifully made and finished. Okay, so the high polished nickel finish shows dirt and prints, but still this gun gets attention at the range even before I fire off a round. Typically at this time I cover disassembly and reassembly of guns. Of course, with revolvers it's a piece of cake, and that's no different with the Model 29 Smith & Wesson. Well, how about cost? Well, in my opinion, good revolvers are not cheap to buy, but they do tend to hold their value. A new Smith & Wesson 29 sells for about $900 to $1,000 as of a couple of years ago, and a new 629 will cost you about $1,200 today. If you think that's high, I found a used Ruger BlackHawk like my old one at a local gun shop last year for $575. And today I just saw a Ruger BlackHawk 44 with a starting bid of $725. Back to the Model 29. Used Model 29-3 6-inch nickel-plated revolvers have been sold for as much as $1,500. So if you find a Smith & Wesson Model 29 today at about $1,000, I'd say that'd probably be a pretty good price. Just my opinion. To wrap up, the Smith & Wesson Model 29 is a true classic, and it's fun to shoot. Its accuracy is surprisingly rewarding. There are few guns as recognizable and as sought after. In addition to the 5 Dirty Harry films from 1971 to 1988, the Smith & Wesson 29 was also used by Roger Moore in the 1973 007 James Bond film Live and Let Die, by Chuck Norris as John T. Booker in the 1978 film Good Guys Wear Black, in 1988 by Arnold Schwarzenegger as Ivan Danko in Red Heat, and by Bruce Willis as Detective Hartigan in the 2005 film Sin City. Model 29 has also been featured in several television shows. There's no doubt that this gun makes a statement, but given its size, weight, and the power of the round, the suitability of the Smith & Wesson Model 29 44 Magnum as a defensive weapon may be questionable. However, it's very reliable, it has great accuracy, and can be counted on to deliver a devastating round with the efficiency and style that few others can match. And if nothing else, that should make your day. Any weapon you carry is better than the one you left at home. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll be back for my next tabletop review. Until next time, stay safe.